All right, we're on Drumore links. We're on hole 4, or excuse me, hole 5, par 4. So this hole right here, let's wait till we get out there on it. Maybe. So this hole, we found a way over here if you've got an extra mile 9, and you may be able to do it if you got an Apocalypse 4, go straight forward with a 5 power ball. You can do a rough bump out there, all the topspin, and bleed it off, and it'll come off right off onto the green through here, bouncing from this area and coming over. This shot over here to the right is a guaranteed short iron shot, and it's a nice clean shot every time, and depending on which way the wind's blowing, especially if the wind's blowing from the right to the left going forward, that might be a really good shot out there. But the other way to try and get over here is to figure out a consistent way to bounce over, because if you can get over to the other side of this into that fairway, now you're in wedge range, which is much better if you have upper developed clubs, because you can bring out a wedge like a rapier or an upper level inbringer, something that's got tons of stuff on it, lots of ball guide, and run it up there. So with a 3 power ball right here, you can see where my line's at. I can just maybe, if I had a tailwind, be able to clear this rough to get out into this fairway area. So if with a 4 power ball, you're actually right there at max overpower, so that you can go from this edge of this fairway all the way over to the other edge on the arc, and you won't be in the rough. So you can pick your spot depending on how much curl you have on your club. So if you don't have a lot of curl, you've got a lower developed extra mile, and you're using a 4 power ball like a extra mile 6 or below, you'll probably want to be 2 to 3 rings off of this surface right here, and that'll put you off in this line so that you can make this gap. With a 3 power ball, in order to clear this with that headwind that we have, I have to move it over to the left in order to grab a hold of this part of the fairway. I can't get up here because I can't get past this rough. And you can just barely get over to the other side over here and kind of limp on. But if you bring a 4 power ball, you can go at it a little straighter and try and get yourself up into here, so that you might be able to do one of those bump and run chips as opposed to a max wedge chip. So a Firefly works really good, and I took the shot coming in wrong. I set it up more like I would set up my Hornet, and I should have ran it out and just slightly topspin, not max topspin it, but just ran it in as a topspin shot with maybe just a little bit of topspin, and it would have been a much better shot than what I took. But trying to figure out some consistent way to get over here with these clubs, I really do think if you want consistency, you're going to have to use a 4 power ball based off where a 3 power ball's red line is. That way you can open up this fairway right here, and you won't have to put so much curl on it to try and get it to come up over here on the other side of the green. But with the 3 power ball, trying to leave myself enough room so the wind can push me off and still be able to cover that curl. It's a 4-2 wind, 2.5 per ring. And I did kind of a little bit of an overpull there. I did at 5, so I did like a 20% overpull. Not that I needed to, but it did great on the inside. 2 rings. And whenever I set those shots up, I leave myself lots of room on the inside, just dribbling over. So that's kind of the effect that you're looking for. That would be much easier to do, and you could get past this sand, because you wouldn't have to go out so far to the left and try and ride up through. Let me see if I can backtrack that. That's a good picture right there. And you wouldn't have to backtrack through where I'm bleeding off here. If you came out with a little bit bigger ball, you'd be able to get up there closer, so you wouldn't be as dependent on the curl just to get you back into the fairway. And you could ride this line up and end up right out in this area. Nice little chip in. So I think with a 4 power ball and a extra mile 6, that's definitely doable to get up there. If you got a level 7 or a level 8 and your level 8 can't get over here, this would be another viable shot. But it did look to me like we don't need to waste a 5 power ball, because the deal with the 5 power ball is if we did a max overpower, we'd actually overshoot the shot. So we don't need to bring that big a ball. I think there's several ways to play this. The high percentage way is to play to the right, do the layup, come at this with your short iron. And you can either do a rough bump. You can take it one of three ways. You can do a rough bump, you can do a backspin shot, or you can do the bounce over. You can go from the other fairway that's on the other side over here and bounce over the rough. If you've got upper developed clubs, bring a claw and a Saturn, because that way you can, with a claw or a Saturn, depending on which club you're in, you can take that shot all three ways and see which one you like the best. Then you can bring out a specialty club for that particular shot. So this is about a max Firefly. And my problem here, this is a good lesson in mistakes, where do as I say, not as I do. You don't really want to be, the closer you can be to the green, like I would prefer to start on the green and go to the cup. My second choice would be is to start on the fringe, then bounce on the green, then go to the cup. Third choice, bouncing on the fairway, then bouncing on the green, then going to the cup. So the less cuts of the surface that you're bouncing off of, the better. The sooner you can get on the green where it's a little flatter and it starts doing that truer trajectory, the better. So anytime you can start on the green, that's the best. Here, what I did was I should have looked at the terrain around me a little bit better, and I should have put just a little teeny bit of topspin on this, so that I could have got away from this transitional area. Because where I ended up setting it, I was right on the transition between the fairway and the fringe. And so what it would do is when it hit that transitional mark, it would jerk the ball guide off to the left and make this really weird change. And where I set it up, where I ended up hitting, I actually hit on the spot where it was jerked to the left. And it took a really wild bounce. So when it gets to the bounce, watch that first bounce. That's what happens when you set up right on those transitional areas. I should have put just a titch of topspin on, and I could have stayed in that original area, and then I moved up to that transition. See how it took that jump right there? That was what the transition looked like. And when I set it up, look how close I am to that transition. We don't want to be that close to those transitional parts, because there's the way that the dynamics, the smoothing goes for the game, it's not a 90-degree curve. And so if you hit it on the outside of that arc, it bounces your ball in a weird way. That's why that ball ended up so far to the left. I took that jump. In the hole, in the hole. I think we got some bonus content on this, right? So we're going to go to a shootout. And I think we got one of the tournament holes in the shootout. It's one of the par threes. I'm not sure which one. It's one of the Drumore or the Port Hello Cove. It's one of those two. Drumore Links. That was hole 5, par 4. And this is another one of the Drumore Links. So if this is Drumore Links, this is, what hole is this? This is hole 4, par 3. This is hole 7 of the tournament. The shot that I was looking for down there, I came at this. I've got a backbone, and trying to get down in here as far as you can with the backbone, as opposed to using a Saturn and getting up closer. With the Saturn, you can there's got to be a way to get, and that way may be bouncing over, and I'm not bouncing over one of these islands onto that green. It's not going to happen. I'm going to have to take my lumps. And if I can't get a hole-in-one, I can't get a hole-in-one. But I'm going to try something different on this hole. I'm going to come at it from a little bit farther away. I'm going to use every bit that I can on this fairway area right here. So this fairway area that's along here, I need to be able to get my pin to work. When I'm watching the video, it won't let me have the pin. Hold on one second. Maybe. Evidently, I will have to go back and work on it later. All right, so trying to get down a little bit farther than what, way down into this spot. Definitely want a ball with lots of side spin to bring it around, and you definitely want whatever long iron you have that has the absolute best ball guide, especially something that's got 4 where you can get it around that bend and see it flatten out. It's hard to tell. It takes a turn there at the very end, and if you don't have that ball guide, it's hard to figure out where it's turning. In a grate to the right, 1 ring. You can see how there's a slope that runs right through here, and there's a little bit of a hill. And so it takes a turn right at the very end. It wants to drift away from the cup. It's hard to see which way it's going to go because you can't see your ball guide if you don't have a ball guide bigger than that club. Let's see, which club was that? So I know. Backbone. All right, let's see what I have. That's the most accurate thing that I have. That's the best thing that I've got as far as ball guide. I don't have anything better in that account. All right, that was a couple of the holes for the tournament with my low level account. Thanks for watching.